Here we go. Brandon Walker for SEC Country. Everybody buckle in. Everybody get your seatbelt on. I got a lot to say today. I have a lot to talk about. I have it all written down, but I'll probably go off script at some point. I've got Terp with the bleep button ready.
Yep.
Make sure that I don't cuss. Although there's not really a delay here, so there's nothing you could do, is there? So
I'd have to anticipate it.
Yeah, you'd have to see it coming.
We'll see how I do.
Yeah. So Dan Mullen no longer at Mississippi State. Whatever. Whatever. Okay. Gets off the plane, chomping it down in Florida. He's got his championship rings. Scott Strickland is sitting there waiting for him to welcome him off the plane. Okay. Good stuff. Look at the audience, Terp.
Big boy numbers today.
Wow. Look at that. Yeah, we got a lot of people talking about Mississippi State right now. A lot of people talking about Dan Mullen. But we will talk about Dan Mullen leaving for Florida. We'll talk about Scott Strickland's role in all of it. We'll briefly, maybe 2 minutes, talk about the Egg Bowl and the good thing that has come out of that. We'll recap the Dan Mullen era. Today's top 5, we'll talk about Dan Mullen a little bit. I'll give the audience a little bit of time to get in here till about 11:50 my time, so about 3 or 4 more minutes. Right now, it looks like we're going to have a strong audience. I thank you for everyone being here. Let's go ahead and call them out. Tommy Stanford Rogers checking in from Baldwin, Mississippi, up in Prentiss County, right on the Lee County line. If you had the authority to make the hire, who would you get, says Chad Mask. I like the Jeremy Pruitt idea. I like Jeremy Pruitt a lot. I think that would be I think that'd be a good hire. That's what I think. Angela Goff says Dan Mullen changed his profile faster than a sorority new pledge girl. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. If that happens to turn up in the podcast, please don't get mad at me. Hail State from Corinth, Mississippi. Good morning, Brandon. Still love you here in West Point. Give a shout out to the Green Wave. Point City playing for their 9th state championship this Saturday night in Oxford, playing against Hattiesburg, both undefeated teams. Point City should win that one. Cohen is about to show why he is the GOAT. Darius Gill is also on the Pruitt bandwagon. Bram Bermucci wants to know what I think about Mark Hudspeth. I just don't think it's his time. I'm just not sure he's done a good enough job in Louisiana to get this job now. I don't think Mark Hudspeth is a realistic candidate. Ocean Springs checking in. Did Mullen ever address the team? I believe he talked to the team at some point. That really hasn't been made public. It appears that Dan Mullen, when he left, he left. He just left. No parting words to state fans or anything. Now, if he talked to the team, that's fine, but he is officially done with Mississippi State, and that's fine. We'll be done with him. Point City, over 1,000 yards this week. Yeah, Point City. Ayers Williams has had a good year. Had a very good year. Houston Nutt. All right, who said Houston Nutt? Get out of here. Thomas Loftus. Houston Nutt. And why not hire Hugh Freeze while we're at it? Houston Nutt for coach. Hugh Freeze is offensive coordinator. Oh boy, love my Hail State. Love my Hail State fans here. Hail State, go Green Wave. Got a lot of Point City in here today. A lot of Point City. We're of course checking in from Atlanta, Georgia. Beautiful Atlanta. Dunwoody. What a nice day outside. Have you noticed how nice it is? Of course you haven't, Terp. You've been inside all day.
I'm in the studio.
You're in that dark room.
Yep.
No hard feelings. He went with the money. Yeah, I don't know if the money has the money been reported yet. I haven't seen the money being reported yet, but we'll see. Dylan Rhodes. That's funny. That's funny. Lee Boyd says my hair looks good today. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I need that kind of. I need that. Hail State from Montpelier, Mississippi, up in Clay County. First time I've ever seen Montpelier checking in. Probably the only internet connection in Montpelier. Lewis Williamson says, read my comment. It's going fast, man. I didn't see it. We got 500 people here today. 500 people. Wow. Good audience. So if you're new to this, I have a bunch of regulars. If you're new to this, what I do is I record my podcast. For a second, I talk to you just like I'm talking to you now. Then I'll record my podcast. You'll hear me do my podcast live. And then at the end, about 11:20, I will come back and we'll spend about 10 minutes together on Facebook Live. So it looks like we're over the time. Tom Mars, that's a good idea. Tom Mars for head coach. Looks like we are over the time to get started. So welcome all my new people. Hey, look at these socks. Look at them socks. Strong sock game today. Do you see my socks?
No, there's a desk. Actually, I do see him.
They got footballs on them. Yeah.
Sporty.
So we're going to do the podcast. A lot of you guys like Pruitt. A lot of you guys like Jeremy Pruitt. So let's go ahead and jump into the podcast. Terp, bring me in.
The More Cowbell Show, brought to you by SEC Country. And now, your host of the More Cowbell Show, Brandon Walker.
That's me, Brandon Walker. More Cowbell, the Mississippi State podcast presented by SEC Country. I promise you I will be here tomorrow. I will be here next year. I will always be with Mississippi State. That's who I am. I bleed maroon. I guess everybody technically bleeds maroon, but I bleed it in the college football sense. I will never, ever go to Florida or anywhere else, but Dan Mullen did. He did. I didn't see it coming. I did not see it coming at all. I will admit to you that I was a little worried about Tennessee. Not a lot worried because that's a dumpster fire up there, but I was a little worried about Tennessee. But I never in a million years thought it would be Florida. I'd always heard that Dan Mullen didn't like his time at Florida. I'd always heard Dan Mullen and Scott Strickland, there might be something there to prevent them from working together. But guess what? Dan Mullen just got off a plane in Gainesville doing the Gator Chomp and hugged Scott Strickland at the bottom of the ramp. So, bye. I mean, see ya. So he's gone. Dan Mullen is gone. We'll wrap that up today. We'll talk about that. You know, there's plenty of meat on the bone to talk about. We'll also talk about a little bit about the Egg Bowl. It was a rotten egg. Just a couple of minutes because it was a rough night. It was an awful night. I hated it. One of the worst Egg Bowl losses I've ever seen. But a silver lining has emerged. Good news has emerged out of that game, and we will get to that. Where does Mississippi State go from here? You're on the internet just like I am. You see the rumors just like I do. Jeremy Pruitt's a name that's out there. Todd Monken's a name that's out there. There are names out there that we will talk about. And then to wrap up the Dan Mullen era, we'll have our today's top five. We do this, if you're new to the show, we do it every single day. Today's top five, usually the readers or the listeners give me a list, and I give you the top five of that particular list. Today is the top five moments of the Dan Mullen era. And this will be it. We'll wrap up the Mullen era. We won't talk about the Mullen era anymore. We won't talk about Dan Mullen. He is now Florida's head coach. But today, we're going to talk about the weekend that was and the fact that we were blindsided with this news. Is it necessarily a bad thing? It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. I'm not thrilled with it. But before I get into that, let me just go ahead and tell you, more Cowbell listeners, you know that Hooters is your place for game day, but did you know Hooters now offers online ordering? In fact, they've teamed up with SEC Country to give you $5 off any order of $25 or more. It's simple to do. Just visit Hooters.com/to-go. Place your order for the upcoming game. Make sure you use the promo code SECFans, one word, to receive $5 off any order of $25 or more. Orders must be placed online. Now, speaking of orders, looks like Scott Strickland ordered him a big helping of Dan Mullen. So I woke up yesterday not thinking this was going to happen. I thought we had pretty much dodged the bullet. I thought Dan Mullen had recognized that his 2018 team is loaded and ready to go. I thought he recognized what he has built here, and I thought he recognized that he had built himself a better opportunity than what Tennessee or Florida had to offer at this time. Obviously, that went the other direction. Obviously, Dan Mullen is now the head coach of Florida. He is the Florida Gators head coach. It is a Good program. I'm not going to say it's not a good program. It's obviously one of the top 10 jobs in the country, probably. I'm not sure if it's a great fit for Dan Mullen, but that's not for me to decide. That's not for me to decide. What I can do is talk about Mississippi State. What I can do is talk about what we're doing. But this is how it ends. 9 years. And it ended very, very quickly. It ended a lot quicker than I thought. You know, yesterday morning, rumors started to go. By the afternoon, the rumors were just a big hot fire, just engulfing everything. And by 5 o'clock, Dan Mullen was gone. And before the national media and before your Ole Miss buddies at work come in and say, we told you so. We told you Dan Mullen wanted out of there. We told you he's been trying to get out of there. Why didn't you listen to us? You said it for 8 years. All right. You've said it since 2010 when they went 9-4 and beat Michigan in the Gator Bowl. You've said it in 2010, 2012, 2014, 2015, now 2017. Forgive us, Mississippi State fans, if we don't break our back to give you an award for finally being right after 9 years. Congratulations. Congratulations. He left after 9 years. You know what percent of coaches stay 9 years at the place that hires them? About 7%. About 7% stays there that long. So, we got 9 good years out of Dan Mullen. And right now, I think it's a case of emotion versus reality. I'm right here in front of you. You can see me. I'm a Mississippi State fan. I'm not a media member who comes out here and says, oh, I'm unbiased. I'm just calling it like it is. No, I'm a Mississippi State fan. I have the ups and downs, the ebbs and flows, just like everybody on this Facebook Live does right now, just like every State fan out there. I get emotional, but I can also see reality. And emotionally, I don't like it at all. I'm a State fan. I don't like Dan Mullen leaving. I don't like him telling us it's a family atmosphere. I don't like him telling us how much he loves Starkville. I don't like him telling us how great his job is 2 weeks ago and how it's great that John Cohen is a coach and that Mark Keenum played football. I don't like him telling us all these things. I don't like Megan Mullen's interviews where she said Gainesville was awful and she loved Starkville more. I don't like it. I don't like it that all of a sudden that just disappeared. It's a guy who said all the right things. He said he loved Starkville. He sold the family atmosphere. He built a culture, and he left. Reality is, he's decided that that's a better opportunity for him, and emotion shouldn't enter the picture. And it is a good opportunity. Florida is a top 10 job. Florida recruits at a high level, probably can mask Dan Mullen's weakness there. Florida plays in a weaker division. You can win national championships with Florida. I'm of the opinion, if things broke right, you could eventually win a national championship at Mississippi State, but it would take a lot more effort and a lot more things breaking your way. All you got to do is beat Georgia over there, and you're playing for the SEC championship at Florida. Much easier division, much easier to recruit to, a huge state with a bunch of players. So reality is, it makes sense for anybody to take that job. Emotionally, it doesn't make sense for Dan Mullen to say the things he said and then leave. Reality is that Mississippi State got 9 very good years out of Dan Mullen. And he showed that winning is possible at Mississippi State. And this isn't a Jackie Sherrill situation, which all respect to the king, but Jackie showed us winning was possible at Mississippi State, but then he left. He left the place in disarray. He left in 2003 with the program in shambles. It was a wreck. And I'm not sure who could have been hired to fix that. But Dan Mullen's not leaving it like that. The reality is we got 9 good years where Mullen went to number 1. He went to the Orange Bowl. He got Dak Prescott. He did all these good things, and he left the program on the brink of more good things. He's not leaving a mess. He is leaving a gold mine for the next coach. You look at all the jobs out there. Tennessee, dumpster fire. Arkansas, hot dumpster fire. You know, Ole Miss, well, they're not open anymore, but dumpster fire with cheese. So all these places have a lot of problems. Arkansas has no talent. Tennessee has no talent and a crazy fan base. Texas A&M has a crazy fan base, a little bit of talent, and a really crazy fan base. So all of those places have these issues. Mississippi State's sitting here with a team that just went 8-4, should have been 9-3 if Mullen hadn't laid an egg in the Egg Bowl. Sitting here with a team that could have gone to the Citrus Bowl, only lost to top 10 teams before that disaster Thursday night. But he's leaving an all-SEC type quarterback. He's leaving guys like Jeffrey Simmons and Leo Lewis. He's leaving 18 starters coming back. I mean, the next guy, Mississippi State is ready to win right now, and that is very, very rare in the coaching search market. That is very rare. Let's say it's a Jeremy Pruitt from Alabama. You hand this guy in his first job 18 starters back from an 8-4 team, 18 starters back from somebody who killed LSU, played Alabama right to the wire. And this team's ready to win. Whether it was Mullen next year or somebody else, this team can win. And I talk about emotion. But the reality is, Dan Mullen is leaving the job better than how he found it. Much, much, much better. Dan Mullen is leaving the program in a much better spot than he found it. That cannot be debated. It cannot be argued. He inherited what Sylvester Croom left him. He did inherit a nice recruiting class that Sylvester Croom had started, then he finished. But he inherited a team that had been to one bowl game in the 2000s. He then went to 8 straight. Dan Mullen is leaving this program in the best shape it's ever been left. I can't think of any coach that has ever left this program in better shape than Mullen is right now. The new coach, again, inherits an all-ACC caliber quarterback, 18 returning starters, a rocking stadium, one of the best atmospheres in the SEC. It's not just on the field, it's off the field, how much we've improved with Mullen at the helm. Before I wrap this up, because I got to get to Scott Strickland for a second. But just one word of warning to Dan Mullen. I appreciate what Dan Mullen did here. Emotionally, I don't like that he left. I believed him when he said he had a great job. I believed he was coming back next year, and maybe that's my fault. Maybe I'm an idiot for that. That's fine. Coaching business is a business, and you're only as good as your next paycheck, and Dan Mullen just went and got a big one. But a word of warning to Dan Mullen. Some of the things that flew at Mississippi State aren't going to fly at Florida. And going 6-6, that'll get you a couple sides, and that'll get you, okay, maybe we'll get them next year at Mississippi State. It'll get you fired at Florida. But the biggest thing for Dan Mullen is it won't be friendly if the recruiting doesn't improve tremendously. It won't allow Dan Mullen to sign the players he signed at Mississippi State. Now, it's in a state that is loaded with high school talent. It is a state that can attract other talent from around the country. But I'm not sure Florida is going to allow Dan Mullen to sign the players he wants to sign. And what I mean by that is Dan Mullen quarterbacks are a certain breed. They're a certain variety. And those guys don't always get 5 stars or even 4 stars. They might be somebody that have the physical measurables and something inside them that Mullen sees that nobody else sees, but he can't sign those guys anymore. He couldn't sign Dak Prescott at Florida. He'd get fired for it. He would never have had Dak Prescott at Florida. He would never have had Nick Fitzgerald at Florida. He'd get fired for it. So it'll be very interesting to see how that all shakes out. If he still tries to get those guys, because I truly believe Dan Mullen needs a Dak Prescott or Nick Fitzgerald, needs somebody with that inner ability and want to run on 3rd and 4 into the heart of the defensive line. I'm not sure 5 stars are going to want to do that. We'll see. We'll see what happens. September 29th, 2018 is when Dan Mullen returns to Starkville. I was on the B&B show on the Bulldog Sports Radio Network today, and I think eventually Mullen will be forgiven and will be celebrated for what he did here. But that night, it will be rough. State fans will be ready. It will be rocking. State's players will be frothing at the mouth. State's players are mad. If you look on Twitter, they're not happy. They're not thrilled with this. And that's good. That is a good thing. I think we're going to be fine with the players we have. We have an attractive job, and I believe we'll bring in somebody that's a quality person, quality coach. Scott Strickland is done with Mississippi State, and that's fine. He made that choice a couple of years ago. Maybe we were just slow to see it. He was given everything. He was named the top Bulldog. He could have retired here after 20, 25 years of sitting in the front row, shaking everybody's hand. A hero. But he chose to take what he deemed a better opportunity. That's fine. But he's a Gator now. He's no longer a Bulldog. That diploma, I don't know. But State fans, I'm not saying this from a personal standpoint. It is a business. I mean, that is reality. But Mississippi State fans hate Scott Strickland now. Period. I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about Mississippi State fans as a whole hate Scott Strickland. They will always hate him. Sure, he has more money in his pocket now and has what he thinks is a better job. That's fine. That's fine. He'll probably tell you it's all worth it. But the place that raised you, the place that built what you are, the place that helped you get to where you are, now hates you. And I'm not sure if I could go through that. He'll probably tell you it was worth it. I don't know. That's for Scott Strickland to say. But I know that Scott Strickland will never be welcome at Mississippi State again. And that's the choice he made. That's the choice he made. So we'll see how that plays out. Just very briefly on the Egg Bowl, very, very briefly, that stunk. That was awful. I hated that. That was one of the worst games of my life against Ole Miss. 5 turnovers, a broken leg for your leader. It was just awful. Nothing about that was fun. I could tell Dan Mullen wasn't right. Could you just tell? I mean, Ole Miss players are out there breaking people's ankles. They're out there tackling late. They're out there throwing hits late. They're out there doing urination celebrations. Urination celebrations, that's hilarious. You know, doing their little fake peeing thing on the sideline after scoring a touchdown, and Dan Mullen's just smiling through the whole thing. He's just smiling. I'm like, I'm mad. I'm physically mad in my living room in Cartersville, Georgia. I'm just angry. And Dan Mullen's smiling. He's standing right there with headsets on. I didn't understand it. Maybe now it makes sense. Maybe now it does make sense that Mullen was checked out, that he was finished. But I didn't like it at the time. I still don't like it. I still don't like that we let Ole Miss in Dan Mullen's last game come into Starkville and do what they did. I hate it for the players. I hate that they went out like that. This was too good of a year. This was a very good year. We should have been 9-3 in the Citrus Bowl. We were a good team. We were not good that night. That was our worst night by far. And we let a bad team come in and punk us in the Egg Bowl. But every cloud has a silver lining, doesn't it? Every cloud has a silver lining. And last night, about 8 o'clock, our silver lining finally emerged. Ole Miss, which had a terrible football team this year and had one nice win in the Egg Bowl, rewarded Matt Luke with their head coaching job. That's right. Matt Luke, now the coach of Ole Miss. What in the world is going on? Are you serious? Next time an Ole Miss fan calls you obsessed or makes fun of Mississippi State emphasizing the Egg Bowl, remind them that they hired a career average offensive line coach because he happened to win the Egg Bowl. Remind them that they gave their program to a guy that's never even been a coordinator because he won the Egg Bowl. That should go over well. I look forward to their next coaching search 3 years from now. Unbelievable. Oh, and by the way, Hammer's still coming. I don't mean MC Hammer, although that would be entertaining. That would be hilarious. Is he still doing? Nah, he's too legit to quit. See what I did there? No? Thumbs down? Okay. Where does Mississippi State go from here? The rumors are out there. You see it. I see it. The rumors are definitely out there. Look how many people are on this Facebook Live right now. The rumors are out there. Jeremy Pruitt, the defensive coordinator at Alabama. You got a guy like Todd Monken, the offensive coordinator at Tampa Bay. Used to be the coach at Southern Miss. You got other names that fans want to throw in, like Lane Kiffin, like Les Miles. I don't think those are serious names, but we can still say them here because this is not a serious place. But I love the Jeremy Pruitt idea. I'm just not going to lie to you. I love the Jeremy Pruitt idea. If he brings in a good offensive coordinator, look out. He's a guy that won't shy away from recruiting battles. He won't shy away from Ole Miss and their signing day extravaganzas. He'll be able to, I believe, pick up right where Mullen left off with his 2019 class, which is critical. I mean, that class is so good. Pruitt's already recruiting him to Alabama, and you can't always say that about recruiting classes in Mississippi. I think a quick hire of Jeremy Pruitt would really help Mississippi State maintain the momentum that they lost briefly in the Egg Bowl, but pick it right back up. The state's still the best program in the state. State still has most of the best recruits in the state committed. State is going to mop up in 2019, and a guy like Jeremy Pruitt will continue that. And I don't want to be married to any idea of what the next coach should be. I don't think you should qualify the job by saying, well, it has to be an offensive coach. It has to be an offensive coach that runs the spread. It has to be an offensive coach that does this. Or it has to be a sitting Power 5 coach. Don't do that. It has to be the right coach. And that requires trust in John Cohen. Now, I talked about a guy who was given everything by Mississippi State and eventually left and decided somewhere else was better for him. John Cohen's not that guy. John Cohen bleeds maroon just like you and I. John Cohen is Mississippi State through and through. And he's aggressive. He's a winner. John Cohen is a winner. There's not a man on this earth I'd trust with this hire more than John Cohen. I think we're in good shape. We're in good shape with the 2018 team. We're in good shape with recruiting. We're in good shape with our athletic director. It's probably the best position we've ever been to hire a football coach. But I like Pruitt. Get the right guy. If that's an elite defensive guy, so be it. He can get an offensive coordinator. I kind of like the idea of bringing in Jeremy Pruitt. I mean, the defensive talent on Mississippi State's 2018 team is scary. Jeffrey Simmons, Montez Sweat up front, Leo Lewis, Errol Thompson has been a revelation at linebacker. Willie Gay is going to dominate at linebacker. You got Brian Cole coming in. You got Chauncey Rivers. The defense is stacked for 2018. If you were to bring in a Jeremy Pruitt, look out. I like that idea. I don't know who it's going to be. I don't know if it's going to be Monken or Satterwhite or Satterfield, whoever it is, or Jeremy Pruitt. I don't have that information. But I like Jeremy Pruitt out of the gate. That's who I like. But wherever Mississippi State goes from here, I feel a lot better about Mullen leaving than I ever thought I would, to be honest. I feel a lot better about Mullen leaving than I ever thought I would. I thought I would be disappointed. I thought I'd be mad. I thought I'd be all these things. And I was those things for a little bit. And I still have a little bit of it inside of me. But mostly, I'm just positive about where we can go from here. Mullen got us to this level, but never got us to this level. And if he was never going to get us to this level, maybe now's our chance to get that guy. Maybe now's our chance to hand him a team that is on the B+ level and get to the A- or A+ level. I don't know. But I feel good about what we have to offer. And I don't know if I've ever been able to say that during a coaching search. So let's go ahead and wrap up the Dan Mullen era right now and put a bow on it. He's gone. He's finished. So let's do today's top 5, which if you like me on Twitter or follow me on Twitter at @bwalker_SEC, you can suggest today's top 5 ideas. Today's top 5 are the top 5 moments of the Dan Mullen era. Top 5 moments of the Dan Mullen era. Now, you might have a different top 5. Frankly, there were more than 5 that I thought could have made this list. But these are the top 5 moments of the Dan Mullen era to me. Number 5, Egg Bowl 2009. Not for the win, which was great. Not for surprising Ole Miss and beating number 25 Ole Miss like they did. But for stepping out on the field afterwards and grabbing the house mic and saying, there's one program in this state that's certainly on the rise. That took a lot of guts. That was something, that was a statement. That was saying, Ole Miss, this is our state now. I don't care what you think. And Dan Mullen eventually went 5-4 against Ole Miss, had a winning record against them, and that moment was the catalyst. Number 4, 2010 Gator Bowl. Mississippi State 52, Michigan 14. I just remember at the time we'd been to one bowl in the 2000s, and our first bowl under Mullen was a Gator Bowl against Michigan. Now Michigan, it was Rich Rod's last game. They weren't classic Michigan. They weren't 12-0 Michigan or anything like that. But they were still Michigan, and I thought it was cool to be playing them. And then when State got on the field with Michigan and just beat the mess out of them, just beat the crap out of them, 52-14, that was Dan Mullen and his stamp saying this program is here. This program is something to be reckoned with. And that was a huge win. I really enjoyed that win. Number 3, top 5 moment of the Dan Mullen era at Mississippi State. This could be number 1, but I've got a couple of games I'm putting at number 1. Number 3, signing Dak Prescott. Might be the number 1 moment of all time for Mississippi State. The most important moment. Signing Dak Prescott. That to me is the watershed moment. When he signed Dak Prescott in the class of 2011, he was a 3-star nobody down in Houghton, Louisiana. LSU made a late run at him, but Dan Mullen signed Dak Prescott, and the rest is history. We go to number 1. We go to the Orange Bowl. We do all this. Now Dak is in the NFL doing his thing. He's struggling lately, but he's had a great start to his career. Signing Dak Prescott changed everything. It changed everything for Dan Mullen, and now he created, what brought us Fitzgerald, what brought us Keaton Thompson. Signing Dak Prescott was a game changer. Number 2, beating LSU in 2014. Walking into Tiger Stadium with Dak Prescott in his home state and beating LSU up and down the field. They were number 8 at the time. But that was the first step in a march towards number one. We didn't know it at the time, but it was the first step in the march toward number one. It ultimately led to beating Texas A&M, who was number 6 at the time. And then the next week, which is our number one moment of the Dan Mullen era, beating Auburn and going to number one in the country. Folks, it's the only time it's ever happened in the history of the school. 5 weeks at number one. Dan Mullen did it. Now, Dan Mullen's now the Florida head coach. You can be mad at him. I'm a little mad at him. But that's the number one moment in the history of the football program at Mississippi State. And it's the number one moment of the Dan Mullen era. Beating Auburn 38-21 that day. College game day was in town. Incredible atmosphere. One of the greatest atmospheres I've ever seen in Starkville or anywhere else for that matter. But that was the number one moment of the Dan Mullen era. Now, Dan Mullen is gone. The future is very bright. So we won't spend much time talking about Dan Mullen from here on out because he's no longer the coach. He can sell his family stuff. He can sell, this is the greatest job ever down in Gainesville. That's where he's at now. Good for him. Go get him. But at Mississippi State, we're going to hire a good coach. We're going to have a good team in 2018. We are not going to fall apart. Dan Mullen took Dan Mullen with him. He didn't take the program. He left the program. So we're going to be in good shape. So this is a very good time to stop for the podcast. Now, if you're on the Facebook Live right now, and I see 653 of you are, please stay there and I'll come right to you. We'll talk together. But on the podcast, I thank you for being here. We'll be back tomorrow. My name is Brandon Walker. You've been listening to More Cowbell, the Mississippi State podcast presented by SEC Country. All right. What have you guys got here? Thanks for making me feel better about MSU, K. Thomas Campbell. Thank you. Thank you. Boy, there are a lot of you. There are a lot of you. Jasmine Hall says her husband is a Gator. It's a split house. I'm sorry, Jasmine. I know some interesting times down there. Jeff Collins says nice lateral move. Yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is. Have you heard about Pep Hamilton? I have not, Christian Rojas. I have not heard about Pep Hamilton. Mike Norville says Michael Wright. Yeah, I'm just not sure Mike Norville is a candidate. I'm not sure Mike Norville is a candidate for this job. I know he's a candidate for other jobs. I don't think he's a candidate for this one. What do you think about the recruits? Do you think they'll decommit? Jason Branson. No, I don't. I think we'll be okay with most of them. I think Jalen Maiden, the 4-star quarterback out of Texas, will probably decommit. But we should be okay on most of them, especially the ones in Mississippi. Marcus Murphy, the best player in the state out of Point City, yesterday went on Twitter, said he's still solid, so that's good. That's a start. Will any of the coaching staff stay? Maybe. I know Grantham's gone. Hevesey's gone. I think the wide receiver coach is probably gone. You might see Terrell Buckley stay. You might see a couple of others stay. What do you think about Todd Monken, Jordan Bryant with that question? I'm not a big – I don't know about that one. That's just not a splash to me. Jeremy Pruitt's really not a splash hire, but I see great things under Pruitt. I'm just not sure about Todd Monken. I'm not sure. Just keep repeating yourself, and pretty soon you'll believe what you're saying, Fred Phillips. I have no idea what you're talking about, Fred. I'm just speaking from the heart out here. I'm not trying to speak with any agenda. I'm just being real. So I believe what I'm saying. I don't have to repeat it. I already believe what I'm saying. West Virginia commit just decommitted. WV. Did we have a commit from West Virginia? If Pruitt is not a splash, who would be? Yeah, I mean, Pruitt's a splash. I think Pruitt's a good hire. Pruitt's a very good hire. When I say splash, I'm talking about somebody that has a national name like a Lane Kiffin. Like, it wouldn't even be a good hire, but it would make a big splash. Greg Knox, he's the interim coach. Jalen Jones decommitted on Twitter 13 minutes ago. That's the 2019 quarterback. He's from Maryland. That's fine. I mean, you didn't expect him to stay committed once Dan Mullen left. So it is what it is. At least he's a 2019 guy, and you can replace him. You have time to go find another quarterback. Has it been confirmed Grantham is leaving? No, but pretty sure he is. Pretty sure he is. If Pruitt comes in, who would you hire as offensive coordinator? Well, I've definitely heard several names. If Chip Lindsey at Auburn made himself available, or the Napier guy that is possibly going to come with Pruitt, I don't know. I don't know. Both of those look like good places to start. Where will Grantham go, and where will Collins be? You're talking about Jeff Collins, the head coach at Temple? Jay Page says, who would you hire? I would hire Jeremy Pruitt. That's my guy. That's who I like so far. That's who I like. Heath is one we don't need to lose, but it isn't looking good. You know, I don't think you need to worry about commitments or decommitments right now. You need to get a coach in and then let that coach worry about it. Because if we sit here and we panic about decommitments and they decommit tomorrow and then we hire somebody on Thursday, then they get a chance to re-recruit them. So I'm not sure right now is a time to worry, to stress about decommitment. What about Steve Campbell? Possibly. Is Les Miles a candidate? I doubt it. I doubt it. He's an interesting name, but I doubt he's a candidate. Who is going to coach the bowl game? So the interim coach is Greg Knox, the running backs coach. I would assume that if Cohen makes a hire quickly, then the new coach could possibly coach the bowl game. Because, you know, if Grantham leaves, if Hevesy leaves, all those guys leave, you're not going to have Greg Knox coach the team by himself. Why not Les Miles? Because he couldn't win at LSU, and he tanked that program, so I don't know why you would think he would win in Starkville. They couldn't find a quarterback in Baton Rouge. And I don't know why you would think. Did you watch his offense down there? It was awful. Grantham versus Pruitt as DC. What are your thoughts? I like them both. I love Todd Grantham. I just think he's going with Mullen. I think he'll be Florida's defensive coordinator next year. Well, the thing about having this many people is they keep asking the same questions. They keep asking the same question. The fact of the matter is whoever we hire could have taken us to the playoff in 2014, and that, my friend, is why I'm happy Dan is gone. I'm with you on Pruitt. Joel Edwards, I don't know how you can say that. I don't know how you can say that. How can you guarantee somebody would have taken us to the playoff in 2014? First of all, you got to guarantee me that guy would have signed Dak Prescott, and you can't do that. You got to guarantee that guy would have signed everybody he signed to make that run possible. You can't guarantee any of that. So I just don't buy that. I see what you're saying, but I don't buy it. Why would you choose Pruitt over Lane Kiffin? Because Pruitt, I think, has elite coaching ability. I think all of his best days are in front of him. I think Lane Kiffin would be a gimmick and possibly a joke. Could he coach offense? Sure, but he's going to embarrass you at some point. And I'm just not keen on getting embarrassed at Mississippi State. Why hasn't Mullen addressed the MSU faithful? Is he a coward, says Travis Person. I don't know if it's that. It appears that as soon as he signed his name on the dotted line, he was the Florida coach, and that's all he cares about. It's been all Florida so far. It's not how I would have handled it, but it is what it is. It is what it is. I'm just saying as an in-game coach. There's no such thing as an in-game coach, Joel Edwards. There's no such thing as just an in-game coach. You have to coach outside of the game, off the field, everywhere. You got to coach everywhere. You can't just show up on Saturday and coach in-game. There's no coach in America that is only judged on what he does in the game. That doesn't exist. Could Grantham be a head coach? I don't think so. I think he would have been one by now. Cameron Crockett. Sinbad says Stingray is enough of an embarrassment. We don't need Lane Kiffin. What'd you say? Yeah, it was good. Keep Greg Knox on the staff for recruiting. It looks like that's the direction it's pointing in. It does look like Greg Knox will be able to stay. Do you think there's any chance Mullen puts MSU over during his press conference, says Rob Hadaway? I hope so. I mean, I don't need a lot. I'm not trying to be needy or anything. But dang, man. Mississippi State did give Mullen his first break. Gave him everything. It gave him a raise every year. It gave him $4.5 million, was ready to go to $6 million. At least say thanks or something. You don't have to ring a cowbell, but hey, just say appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Something. Ole Miss coach Matt Luke's contract is worth $12.6 million over 4 years, starting with $3 million next year. Matt Luke making $3 million a year to coach football. God bless America. God bless America. A lot of you are saying Kevin Sumlin. Cameron Crockett says, what do you think about your audience topping out around 750, 800 people? New record? It is a new record for the podcast. I did I did 154,000 a couple of weeks ago for something I put out on Facebook. So, but it's a record for the podcast. Greg Puckett says, "Who cares?" I guess who cares about anything if you get right down to it. Charles Albert Johnson from Point City. His question is very, very long, and I'm trying to scroll down to it, Charles. You need to be a little brief when you ask me a question. Why would Mullen leave a job he was guaranteed to keep at State for a job in Florida he might keep 4 years tops if he brings him back to national prominence? It's definitely a risk, but it's a risk that comes with a lot of money. You know, would you take a 4-year risk for $30 million? Probably, right? I'm not sure. I mean, Dan Mullen has to probably improve as a coach to keep that Florida job. He probably has to improve as a coach. But again, you can be not that great in the East and still win it. I mean, Georgia's good, but if you told me all I had to do every year was beat Missouri, Tennessee, South Carolina, Kentucky, and Vanderbilt, and I'd be 6-1 in my division, I'm taking my chances. Or 5-1 in the division, I'm taking my chances. Gator boosters will run both Scott and Dan out if they don't produce soon. John Martina. It'd be interesting. It's going to be, and Scott Strickland probably has put all of his chips in the middle of the table with Dan Mullen. He's betting on Dan Mullen. And that's a pretty safe bet, probably. I mean, Mullen's a good coach, right? If somebody on that staff can recruit for him and they can get the 4- and 5-star talent they need, he's probably going to compete for SEC titles. Mike Norville at Memphis, your thoughts? I'm just not sure he's a candidate. I don't know what's behind the scenes there, but I'm just not sure he's a candidate at Mississippi State. Sumlin's problem has been defense. He can recruit well, and his offenses have been good over the years. Yeah, he can recruit well at Texas A&M in the middle of Texas, where 4- and 5-star guys grow on trees. They don't do that in Mississippi. You got to work harder to recruit them in Mississippi. And if Kevin Sumlin had that many years and that much talent and couldn't produce, I'm just not sure he's the kind of guy to keep it going in Starkville. He couldn't keep it going in College Station with resources out the wazoo, with 5-star recruits growing up next door. I just don't think Kevin Sumlin's the guy. Jackie Sherrill. I mean, I love Jackie Sherrill. No. No. Pruitt and Lindsey is what Jared Mansour wants. I want Pruitt. I do. I want Jeremy Pruitt. I'm not going to lie to you. And you might say, oh, well, the Saban tree hasn't been that great. Yeah, well, you could hire Jim McElwain and you could hire Kirby Smart. Did Georgia make a mistake when they hired defensive coordinator Kirby Smart? No, I don't think they did. And Pruitt, while under Saban now, isn't really from the Saban tree. He also was on the 2013 Florida State staff. So, I mean, he's got championship experience outside of Saban. I want a coach that is not afraid, that makes gambles, takes chances, and acts like you're having fun, says Reed Burrell. You kill me. I understand that recruiting is involved, but I'm not interested in taking NFL talent to Ole Miss with everything on the line against a beat-up Ole Miss team and get schooled by Hugh Freeze. That's my point on the in-game coach, 2-15 in ranked matchups. Speaks for itself. Later, Dan. Okay, Dan's gone. Why aren't you still bringing up his record against ranked teams? And that's a bogus record, by the way. That's not a real record. Why are you bringing that up? He's gone. You got your wish. He's gone. I mean, there's a segment of the fan base that wanted Dan Mullen gone anyway. So why be mad about it when he leaves? Get off Mullen's jock, Brandon. Geez, the man was a good coach, but not aggressive and too dang conservative. What is happening here? Fred Harley, how am I? What? Fred, me and you, I thought we were tight. That hurts, Fred. Boy, oh boy. What about T. Martin? No, I don't think he's ready. And plus, he's probably waiting for that Tennessee job. He might get the Tennessee job, frankly. I hear Bob Stoops is jobless. Yeah, jobless with about $100 million in the bank. Transfers coming, maybe Keaton, says Mark Milner. Why would you think that? See, I don't think why would Keaton Thompson transfer? He waits one more year. He's the starter for 2 years. I don't think Keaton Thompson is even a threat to transfer. I don't think you even have to worry about that. And you see how you see how these players rally together on Twitter. I think we'll be fine. I don't think anybody's going to transfer. Mullen's play calling cost the Bama game. No, it didn't. That's a ridiculous take. I've hated that take since the Alabama game, and it didn't. But Dan Mullen's not the coach anymore. So if you want to be mad about Dan Mullen's play calling against Alabama, go to a Florida board. Let them know about it. What keeps us from going out and getting a proven top-tier coach? Well, it's hard to hire a top-tier coach. And I'm not just saying from Mississippi State. Do you think, in your opinion, did Florida just get a top-tier coach? And what are we talking about top-tier? The top 10 in the country? Tennessee's not going to get one. Arkansas is not going to get one. A&M's not going to get one. Unless A&M gets Jimbo Fisher, which is possible. So it's hard to get one. Those guys don't move jobs that often. I don't think State can get a top-tier coach because I don't think anybody can get a top-tier coach. I don't think Tennessee's going to get one. I'm not sure Florida got one. You have not mentioned Mike Leach. That is correct. I have not mentioned Mike Leach. How many recruits do we lose from the strong 2018 class? I don't know. Probably Jalen Maiden, I would assume, the quarterback, and maybe a couple of others from out of state, but I feel like we'll be okay, especially if we hire Jeremy Pruitt quickly. He'll be able to clean up that mess. He'll be able to clean that up. And I did notice you said the 3018 class, which I'm sure the 3018 class is going to be ridiculous. Those guys show a lot of promise. Fred Harley wanted him gone 3 years ago. Fred, the day has come. He's gone. You wanted him gone in 2014? Why did you want him gone in 2014? Charlie Strong. Look what he's done at South Florida. But look what he's done at Texas. So they never gave him a chance to rebuild. Charlie Strong just doesn't move the needle for me. I mean, he's 10-2 at South Florida with an awful schedule. So I don't know. Leach would be top tier. Mike Leach is a head case. Misuse of timeout. Okay, all right. Dan Mullen's gone, guys. We don't have to argue about Dan Mullen anymore. Dan Mullen's gone. Jeremy Pruitt, Todd Monken, somewhere in there. We'll figure it out. John Cohen, we can talk about this all day long, but do you trust John Cohen to make this hire? That's my question to you. Do you trust John Cohen to make this hire? That's the question that needs to be answered. Because I think I do. He hired a baseball coach. Now, that's in his wheelhouse, and that baseball coach looks like he's fantastic. But I believe John Cohen is the right guy to make this hire. Put Bumpus as receiver coach. That'll happen eventually. That will happen eventually. All right, guys. Y'all get ready to play me out? Had a good time today. Really liked being here. Liked the big response. Liked everybody interacting. Had a good time. Good podcast. We'll be back tomorrow. Please show up again, 10:45 Central Time. We do this every single day. Until next time, my name is Brandon Walker. You've been watching more Cowbell for SEC Country.